The following morning, it was cloudless and mild, Aylmer called at the Ottley residence in Sloane Street, and in a mood of restrained optimism and beyond the speed limit, he and Edith began the journey to Eastcliff.
I was expecting Bruce to give us some absurd sort of send-off, full of outrage and self-pity.
Missed his chance, poor man. He'll be terribly disappointed when he wakes up.
You did tell him that we're going away.
Oh, yes.
His reaction?
Full of outrage and self-pity. Thank heavens I never mentioned the words quasi and honeymoon.
When we come back, we'll go straight to Jermyn Street, yes? Begin our quasi-marriage.
Edith said nothing. She had hardly dared to think beyond the few precious days they were to spend at Eastcliff. Aylmer recognised the significance of the silence. He could make no assumption about long-term arrangements.
Edith?
Yes, Aylmer?
Whatever happens, I'll always love you.
They arrived at Eastcliff, and still it was cloudless and mild. In the early evening, they took a stroll from the hotel, followed a path that went down towards the sea.
Here we are. Look, the bench.
The bench. The very bench.
Aylmer's favourite bench. During his recuperation, he had often sat here and thought about Edith. And when Edith had visited him...
I brought you here, slowly.
You did.
And I asked you if you'd be my wife.
And I said yes, and now we're married. In our fashion.
They sat. They held hands quite tightly, as if afraid, each of them, that the other might somehow be dragged away.
Edith, you still write to Teddy, don't you, from time to time?
I do.
Teddy was Aylmer's son. He'd been at the front. Teddy was too young to be allowed to fight, just as Aylmer was too old. But both had lied about their age.
Has he written recently?
No, not recently.
No. The last letter he sent to me, well, a few weeks ago, he mentioned that he had some leave coming up. So by now, surely...
Aylmer.
Well, by now, he should either have written again or presented himself in person.
Let us go astray.
No, they do. Well, they're bound to. But Edith, as soon as you get word from him, you'll tell me, won't you?
Yes, Aylmer, of course.
When the war's over, you and I and the children and Teddy, if he's keen, we must travel abroad, see the sights together.
Yes, we must.
Aylmer began to list such sights and to picture the happy family at each of them. He had reached Rome and the Trevi Fountain when an unforeseen cloud obscured the sun. The air was chilled, and Aylmer's attention was distracted by the sound of eager footsteps.
Oh, no.
Ah, found you at last.
Bruce.
Evening.
Oh, Bruce, for heaven's sake.
Oh, Bruce.
I'll sit, if I may. Shove up.
They shoved up. Bruce sat. Edith was flanked, in perfect symbolism, by the two men in her life.
Rather a pleasant spot, isn't it?
Bruce.
Yes?
This is intolerable.